Friday, April 24th, 2026. It's about 2:30 Central Time here as I'm recording. There's your date and timestamp. So with about 30 minutes left in the stock market today, I wanted to point this out because this is actually pre-market with NIO, and this is the 4 a.m. Eastern time window. So essentially when pre-market began, and you've got this 5-minute window with a huge volume candle to the up and down side. And so I just wanted to highlight it and say, maybe this was an indicator of price action for today. The open on this candle was $6.31. The high was $6.31. The low was $6.10. The close of this 5-minute incremental window candle was $6.24. And this was on volume of over 311,000. So significant volume. But what I think is kind of interesting is with the close of that, 5-minute incremental window candle at $6.24. And right now we're trading about $6.21. I'm just curious where we'll see NIO end the day and how close it'll be to that level or that point where that the close on that 5-minute candle was. Anyway, I just want to point that out. And then there are a few other things I want to cover, including this. The significance of this might not be recognized, but NIO decided to go really large scale at the Beijing Auto Show. And I think there are a couple of important points that may end up leading to more market awareness and brand awareness for all three brands in that massive Chinese market, which is so important. And so I share a couple different things here. One of the beautiful things about this is it's the full NIO DNA, as I like to call it, and that's all three brands. And so letting people know, because as NIO is becoming recognized as the premium, and luxury BEV automaker from China, and within China, the other brands still being new, being recognized as having that same DNA, I think their sales trajectories can have a lot of upside as well. But I think it's important for people in China, as they're learning about, some of them still learning about NIO, also learning about the other brands having that same DNA. So that's one important note. The other is what I've referenced in the rural model, but it's a tie to that, but it's actually a separate point. And that is, if we go back in time, William Li talked I think it was just over a year ago in an earnings about how about half of NIO's sales were coming from one geographic region in China. And that told me that some of these other huge cities like Beijing have a lot of upside potential along with the rural model. And I'll link that rural model video because that's another whole, take. And I guess the positive takeaway for me is, as NIO does more of this, I think this is a great way to go ahead and invest in making sure the brands are all known, as NIO it continues to solidify itself as just a dominant premium brand. And so now I want to pivot just a little bit, because I had a wonderful comment in response to my video. This is the original video, the last one that I did, and this was the thumbnail that I created. And I want to speak to that for just a second here. And thank you, TillicumsGhost, for this comment. It says, Aaron, you do the most in-depth analysis while most just parrot the headlines. However, the thumbnails are too clickbait and meme stock. Before asking NIO fam to share, you should consider repackaging. At this point, NIO's success doesn't require flash. It's mature and sophisticated now. And I love this. Thank you for the compliment. Also, thank you for this brutal honesty. By the way, one of my mini, as in small, not many as in plethora, but mini projects has been that I'm not artistic, and I have never really enjoyed doing my own thumbnails. So I've been trying to connect and find someone good to take that over. I don't mind paying them to do it, but I haven't found the right person yet. So as I continue to do that, I also decided to just go ahead and make a change. So this is actually the new thumbnail that I put and switched out from that video. And I'm going to try this for a little while. Now, full disclosure, a couple of things I want to offer, because as is my way, I try to and connect and be consistent for the viewers, for the subscribers, but also consider what you all have to say and your feedback, because it is valuable to me that you take the time and offer things like this. So I know in the past when I have taken my face off of these thumbnails and not had it kind of in this little corner where I've been keeping it through, a lot of my recent uploads, I actually had people say that they preferred seeing me on there so they knew it was my content. However, I do think that moving forward, it makes more sense for me to not be on there, especially because I really don't. I mean, I just share the research, and even in my videos, a lot of times I'm not even on screen, and that is intentional. I want to share the research, and it's frankly very little of the research that I'm doing, but because I've had people ask, for me to do that in the past, that's why I hadn't done it. And for now, this is what the channel looks like. I've kind of reworked this as well. I'm going to keep the picture of me at least on the channel for right now, and same on the old Twixter platform. But I did want to point this out as well because I have made this change, and that is just a simple NIO Trending is where I share some of my research on NIO. I view NIO as a unicorn, an IDE company like we've never seen before. So it's that simple, keeping it clean and simple. Let's see if this doesn't make a difference with views and perhaps with even people wanting to share the content more. This also, again, I want to highlight this comment because Andreas asked, didn't NIO sell 20,000 ES8 alone in March? So if I'm not mistaken, we will have extreme difficulties to match the 35,000 deliveries for the month of April. And, so then there's this question of, what's going on? So this is my response, and I'm going to share this tweet that I shared in the comment with you all in just a second. Jason, you phenomenal content creator in his own right, and so I'm always happy to plug his what he's sharing and offered as well. But this is my comment, from March. The NIO sales, just the NIO, and that's all of the NIO models, 22,490. And then per William Lee's post, he talked about or referenced or posted that it was 100,000 in 215 days. Or another way I'm thinking about it is like this: roughly in about 7 months, 100,000 of the ES8. So that's a, kind of like a baseline of 15,000 plus per month on average, at least so far. So to me, a 15,000 plus number continues this momentum, and that's positive. And I don't think I have it queued up, but I do know they have a special ES8 that they've started with some deliveries of as well. And it is, I believe the price point on that is 10,000 US dollars or more higher than the regular ES8. So every one of those is also going to offer a little bit more, probably on the margin side for the vehicles, also, possibly contributing to a profitable quarter and or, full year. But this is the other thing is the Firefly sales were much higher in March versus January and February. In March, there were over 6,000 of them. And my thinking on this is this could be due to higher export numbers with global expansion in the first 2 months. In other words, at a time when Chinese New Year was going on, which makes sense to ship out more and focus on deliveries within China from March onward. Let's see what happens with April numbers for NIO Group. So I also just responded to somebody, and I didn't have it pulled up, but my thinking is I want to stay conservative on the numbers. And frankly, since I'm not able to track the numbers on the weekly side of things anymore, I don't even like doing monthly predictions myself. I just like tracking the data and sharing it and then trying to break down things and offer things that maybe others aren't thinking about. But this is the post from Jason, by the way, where he kind of breaks down, the cadence on these refresh deliveries for the ES8. But back to, my thinking with respect to April numbers, I hope we'll see a comparable number with Firefly. I certainly think it's possible, but it also, would be nice to maybe get a little validation on if I'm correct in my thinking that the first couple of months, we're really focused on getting Firefly out to the global expansion, those countries outside of China, at a time when that would have made sense. The other is, I think, I don't believe we have the refresh and the launch of, all the Envo models and updates yet. So I'm not necessarily expecting big numbers there. And I still think it's important for both the rural model to tie in the NIO DNA across all three brands, and also for things like the Beijing Auto Show and some of these other auto shows in these huge cities where, the metropolitan sales can certainly go up for NIO because they've really just dominated that one area, sort of the Hefei and Shanghai area. And so I think there's a lot of upside with that. So I want to keep that in mind. But in the short term, I really don't have an expectation. I do think it'll be fun to see where NIO is after 4 months, compared to, looking ahead and seeing, maybe 400,000 or more is possible for this year for deliveries across all three brands. I really don't know. It's kind of early to be thinking that way, but I want to just keep tracking the data as we go. And I will create timestamps for this video. It went a little longer than I expected, but there were a few things I want to cover. And so let me get this thing up and out as soon as possible. Have a great day or night whenever you see this. I'll see y'all again very soon.